It started with a heartless kick. If only she knew that one cruel moment would set off a chain of karma. Welcome to African Folktale by Fabam. The kick landed so hard on Michael's stomach that he bent over instantly, clutching his stomach in pain. The black leather wallet flew out of his hand, spinning mid-air before landing on the dusty ground. A sharp, burning pain shot through his stomach, making him staggered backwards. He coughed out blood. In that moment, everything froze, and Michael could literally felt his whole life flash before his eyes. Slowly, he looked up, with his eyes red, watery, and filled with pain. I was just trying to give it back, he stammered, with his voice trembling in pain.
Give one back!
Sarah snapped, stepping forward in her sparkling blue suit and 6-inch heels.
Do you think I don't know a thief when I see one?
She bent quickly, picked up her wallet, and opened it like something important was missing. After scanning through, she sighed heavily in relief. Before Michael could speak again, Sarah landed a slap on his cheek. Then another slap, right across his face. The crowd gasped. "But he was only trying to help," one woman said from the side. "If he was truly a thief, he would have disappeared before you noticed anything," another added. But Sarah only scoffed, her face filled with pride and arrogance. She turned to them and snapped. "This wallet was kept securely in my bag. Then suddenly, you want to return it? You think I don't see through your poor tricks? You saw people watching and pretended to pick it. And then you even had the audacity to touch me with those poor dirty hands of yours." She hissed loudly and rolled her eyes. "You're lucky I'm in a good mood today, else I would have shown you real madness." Then she turned to walk away, and Michael, now barely able to breathe, mistakenly touched her heels as he slumped forward. Sarah turned back in rage. "How dare you touch me?" she screamed. "Please, I wasn't stealing. I was only trying to help," Mikkel tried to explain in her weakened state. Sarah looked down at him and smirked. Then she kicked him hard, right in the same spot he was clutching. Mikkel groaned out in pain. The market women gasped. Some wanted to talk, but they stayed quiet. Sarah looked powerful and dangerous to mess with. Michael, with the last bit of strength in him, reached for his phone to call for help. Sarah's, who was fuming eyes, caught the phone, and her expression changed immediately. She snatched the phone from him. "Ah, so you even stole my iPhone 16 Pro Max? Thank God I caught you before leaving." Then she snatched the phone, stepped closer, and searched his pockets, pulling and pushing him like his life doesn't matter. Then she pulled out a bundle of foreign currency that was worth thousands of dollars. Michael, who was already weak from the bleeding, could only lay there and let her do as she pleased. The crowd gasped again, watching the scene. Sarah counted the money with greed, then she raised the money up high for everyone to see. Now tell me how a homeless-looking man like this could have this kind of money. Look at him, just look. He's clearly a thief. Michael was too weak to fight back. Blood dripped from the spot Sarah had kicked him, and he stood there clutching his stomach with the pain getting unbearable. Sarah hissed, then spat on Michael like he was a trash. The onlookers murmured in agreement. "Yes, he must be a thief. He deserves it." He even looked suspicious from the start. And one by one, they returned to their stalls, ignoring the man bleeding on the floor. Just as Michael was about to black out, a brave girl ran to his side. She knelt beside Michael and held him gently just before he lost consciousness. She had witnessed the chaos and everything that had happened, and she knew the man was innocent. And Sarah was the one that was lying. The girl that held the homeless man was Amaka, Sarah's stepsister. She had arrived just in time to witness the wallet fly mid-air, the man clutching his stomach in pain, the look of terror on his face as her wicked stepsister accused him falsely before a stunned crowd. And deep down, Amaka knew the bitter truth, that the man was innocent. Their family didn't even have that kind of phone or money, and that her wicked stepsister, claiming to be a victim, was a con artist herself who loved dressing like she was a big shot. Amaka had watched Sarah and everything she had done, so when Sarah simply turned around and walked away like nothing happened. Amaka, however, stood frozen. She didn't dare step forward when her sister was around, and she could only watch the man try to sit up in agony. When Amaka saw that the crowd had began to disperse like dust, muttering and judging as they walked off. With no one offering to help, she rushed to save him. She didn't have much, but she had empathy. Together, With the help of a kind man, they rushed the homeless man to the nearest hospital. As they wheeled him in, Amaka's heart beat fast, praying and hoping he survived. Few minutes later, the doctor came out with a grave look. He was kicked right where he has an undiagnosed case of appendicitis, and he needs emergency surgery right now, or he won't make it. Amaka's shoulders slumped. She had nothing, no savings, no friends to call, and worse, the only money on her was the one her wicked stepmother had given her earlier that day to run an errand. Tears filled her eyes, but her heart wouldn't let her walk away. She handed the money to the doctor and said, "Please start treatment. I'll find the rest, I promise." The surgery was done successfully, and Amaka stayed right by his bedside, refusing to go home until the man opened his eyes and gave a weak smile. Late at night, she left quietly, with her legs heavy and unsure of what waited her at home. As soon as Amaka opened the gate, she was welcomed by fire and thunder. Her stepmother was waiting for her with her eyes oozing fire. "You useless girl, where are you coming from?" her evil stepmother barked. Amaka stammered and explained how she helped a man to a hospital. But her wicked stepmother wasn't even listening. "First of all, where's the money I sent you on an errand with?" Amaka stammered as she whispered. I used it to pay the hospital bill, Mama. "I promise I'll pay you back," she whispered. "You what? You used my money to save a man? You bastard girl!" Then her wicked stepmother lunged at Amaka, beating her mercilessly, while Sarah clapped and laughed in the corner. "Useless girl," her stepmother screamed. "Until you bring back my money, you'll sleepin' outside like the pauper you are," she said, and they slammed the door shut. Amaka sat outside, feeling sore and humiliated. She was already used to the suffering, but this time around she was glad she was able to save a life. She sat outside in the cold, while inside her wicked stepmother and stepsister were devouring a royal meal. Using another person's money and sweat, she sighed, hoping karma will catch up to them one day. Her body itched as mosquitoes danced on her skin. Hunger churned in her belly, but she couldn't leave as she had nowhere to go. She rested her head and fell asleep. But in the deed of night, she heard footsteps and faint whispers in the night. She recognized it was Sarah giggling on the phone. "Yes, I have everything here. All the man's details. He's richer than we thought. We're going to be billionaires," Sarah said in whisper. Amaka opened her eyes confusedly. She didn't dare move. But as she pretended to sleep, she couldn't help but wonder, what is Sarah up to this time around? But then it's none of my business, she convinced herself. She could only hope that one day she'd leave this wicked house and find peace and purpose in her life. The next day, Amaka quietly sneaked into the house before dawn, dressed up and rushed to the hospital to check on the man from the previous day. But to her surprise, he was nowhere to be found. "He's been discharged," one of the nurses said casually. "His family came and paid all the bills." Amaka heaved a huge sigh of relief. She hadn't even realized she'd been holding her breath. "Thank God," she whispered. Now that he was safe, it was time to face her own reality. She needed to start hustling again if she had any hope of paying back her stepmother's debt. She went to the market and began helping people carry their loads, hoping to gather at least a portion of the money. She carried loads for all kinds of people, some nice, others wicked. One particularly rude rich woman kicked her whenever she felt like it, but Amaka endured it all. She would rather take the insults in the market than go back home to face her stepmother trouble. And so she continued. Later in the afternoon, a kind-looking woman called out to her. "Young girl, you've been working hard. Come and help me, please." Amaka rushed over and assisted the woman with a smile. "You have strength and courage," the woman praised her. "I'll pay you 10 times your usual charge." Amaka's eyes widened in surprise. "Thank you, Ma," she said with joy washing over her like a fresh breeze. She carried the last load cheerfully, rushing to the woman car only for someone to bump into her, hard. She almost fell. "Watch where you're going," a familiar voice snapped. Amaka turned and froze. It was Sarah. Sarah's eyes widened, then twisted with disgust and rage. Her fiancé stood beside her, equally surprised. "You?" Sarah screamed. "How dare you touch me with that dirty body of yours?" "I'm sorry, Sarah," Amaka said quickly, bowing her head. But before she could walk away, Sarah dragged her back by the arm. "You must be mad," Sarah hissed. "What gave you the guts to talk to me?" Then, without warning, she pushed the load Amaka was carrying to the ground. Amaka gasped. Her only hope of repaying the debt had just been crushed, literally. She dropped to the floor to start picking up the items, but Sarah stamped her feet on them, grinding them into the ground with a wicked smile. "That serves you right, daughter of a common mistress," Sarah spat. "I could give you the money back," she added smugly, "but only if you bow down and lick my shoes." Amaka's hands trembled. Her pride was shattered. Her hope was gone, and slowly she dropped to her knees. Just as she was about to bow her head, a man stepped forward. "No," he said firmly, with his voice calm but powerful. "She doesn't deserve your respect." Then he pulled Amaka into a gentle hug and wiped her tears. Amaka blinked, feeling confused. "Who is stranger that was helping her?" Sarah hissed. "Who the hell are you? Because of the suit you borrowed, you think you're now a big man?" Michael looked at her and smirked. "So you still have the guts to talk to me after everything you did to me yesterday?" Sarah squinted her eyes confusedly. Then her eyes widened in shock. Fear consumed her, but she quickly masked her feeling. "You again? The thief? So whose suit did you steal this time around?" Amaka turned to Michael, looking confused. "Wait, what?" She stared at him properly for the first time. Then it clicked. This was the same man from the hospital, but now he looked completely different. He was handsome, confident, and rich. "What's going on?" she whispered. "How did you go from homeless to this in one night? And your health? Are you okay?" she asked with concern etched on her face. Michael looked into her eyes and smiled. Then, without a word, he clapped his hands twice, as if giving a secret signal. Suddenly, something unexpected happened. A fleet of luxurious cars screeched to a halt, surrounding Sarah and her fiancé. Armed bodyguards jumped out, forming a tight circle. Sarah froze, with her face draining of color. She tried to run, but one of the guards blocked her path. Then came the deep, familiar voice. "I think you have something that belongs to me," Michael said. Sarah's legs trembled. I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. Michael gave a cold smile. "Oh, really? You took my phone, and don't forget the thousands of dollars you took." "And funny enough, you couldn't deny. You took it right in front of everyone." Sarah stammered and fell to her knees under pressure. "I'm sorry, I'll give you back your money and phone, please spare me." Michael laughed. "Did you spare me yesterday when I was begging?" "No. You thought I was an homeless man and treated me the way you want." Sarah stammered but couldn't find the right word to say. "I recognized you yesterday but choose to keep quiet and know the real you. The application you submitted to my firm was approved. Your salary was worth millions, with official car and an official luxury mansion. The jobs also offered you to connect with Big Shot in the game. But what did you do? Your lack of human empathy made you lose it all." One of the bodyguards leaned in and whispered something to Michael, then pointed directly at Sarah and her fiancé. Michael turned slowly. "Wonders shall never end. I'm sure you'll be wondering who I am. I'm Michael Adam of the Adam Cooperation." Sarah and her fiancé eyes widened in shock. Before they could react, Michelle continued. "Just yesterday, I went undercover as a homeless man to investigate who had been stealing from my company. I faked being stranded in the market and was about to go on my mission. When I saw your wallet drop, I was just trying to help. But what did you do? You lied, and even went as far as kicking me, leaving me to die without a care in the world." Sarah gasped, her knees buckling. Standing in front was none other than Michael, the billionaire owner of the tech company she and her fiancé had been hacking. "Look how fate works. It wouldn't have been easy for me to catch you if you didn't do what you did." "Guards, search them," Michael ordered coldly. The guards searched Sarah and her man, right there on the spot, and found the flash drive containing the evidence of the scam actions. Sarah and her fiancé was arrested, with every of their pleas falling to deaf ears. Amaka stood dumbfounded. She couldn't believe what was happening. Karma came fast, she thought. Her thoughts were interrupted by Michael, who pulled her into a hug. "You're a kind-hearted woman and deserve to be rewarded. But before then, let's start with that kind man." Michael looked for the kind man that assisted yesterday and give him millions of dollars for his kind heart. Other market sellers hide their faces in shame. If only they had help, maybe they would have the opportunity to change their life. Michael searched for the woman whose goods had been destroyed and replaced it all in multiple folds. Michael was about to leave with Amaka in his luxury car when he received a call. He excused himself, promising Amaka he'll come for her later, and so he left, leaving Amaka with a hope for a brighter future. But then Amaka had a huge problem at hand. How is she going to face her wicked stepmother? She knew by now news would have gotten to her. With trembling legs, she arrived home, hoping her evil stepmother won't blame her for her daughter's arrest. When Amaka arrived, the house was quiet. She sighed in relief, hoping she'll be able to pack her belongings before her stepmother's arrival. But just as she was about to start packing, her stepmother pounced on her. "I shouldn't have allowed you to survive. Look at what you did to my only daughter. If only you didn't save that man, she wouldn't be in prison by now," she screamed. Amaka pleaded and promised to do everything in her power to save Sarah, but her stepmother didn't listen. Instead, she kept dragging and beating Amaka. Meanwhile, Michael had just finished his important meeting, and he was about to go to Amaka house. He instructions his lawyer to prepare Sarah bail just because of Amaka. Michael had planned to surprise Amaka with a life-changing gift, a fully furnished mansion, a brand new car, and millions of naira deposited into her parents' account. He wanted to personally thank her parents for raising a girl with such a good heart. But the moment he arrived at Amaka's family house, his smile disappeared. He heard shouting, "You, this useless girl, because of you my daughter is in prison." Amaka's stepmother was beating her mercilessly, slapping her across the face and dragging her by the ear. "If you had minded your business, none of this would have happened," she yelled. Michael's heart dropped. He pushed past everyone and rushed to pull Amaka away. "Enough!" he barked. The entire compound went quiet. Then he turned to the stepmother, with his eyes cold. "So this is how you treat a girl with a golden heart, a girl who risked her life to save someone she didn't know. And yet, you reward her with beatings?" He looked at Amaka. Her face was swollen from tears and bruises, and held her hand. "You don't deserve this. From now on, your days of suffering are over. I will give you a life that will wipe away every pain of your past." Then he turned to one of his bodyguards and whispered, "Return everything we gave this woman. She doesn't deserve any of it." The guard nodded and began instructing others to remove all the gifts and food items they had brought. Michael faced the stepmother one last time. "If only you had shown her love, you would have been swimming in blessings right now. I would have considered forgiving your daughter too, but now you've proven you don't deserve any of it." Amaka's stepmother fell to her knees, pleading for forgiveness. But it was too late. Amaka turned away. The pain she had endured because she was the daughter of the mistress was too much. It wasn't her fault her mother had chosen to be a mistress, and she had tried her best to be a good daughter to make up for the pain her mother might have caused. Amaka held Michael's hands with her eyes pleading. "Please take me away from her, I've had enough," she begged. Michael turned to Amaka, dropped to one knee, and pulled out a sparkling ring. "Amaka, will you marry me?" Tears of joy rolled down her cheeks. "Yes," she whispered. The crowd erupted in cheers. People in the community who once mocked her were now clapping and shouting. "This is what happens when you have a good heart." "God doesn't sleep." She suffered, but God remembered her. Now over to you watching this. If you were in Amaka's shoes, would you have helped that stranger on the street? Do you think Michelle should forgive Sarah now that justice has been served? Would you have forgiven a stepmother who had made your life a living hell? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Someone out there needs to hear your voice.